Again, Wednesday afternoon, 2 o'clock Eastern for our weekly live training. Last week was the first week, and we kind of did a fun exercise regarding getting to know your avatar, your perfect client, that client persona. And we did it somewhat differently. So we actually went into kind of the emotional connection and not just your normal everyday kind of demographics, right? So I'm just trying to pull up the live on my phone so I can be able to see your comments as they come in. We'll see. Oh, there they are. Awesome. Okay. Because sometimes I don't see it on my computer. So I like to have my phone open with it to make sure that I can see your comments as they come in. If you are joining us live, let me know. Just put live in the comments. If you are joining us on the replay, then let us know by putting hashtag replay. So that way, if you comment, hopefully, fingers crossed, Facebook will notify me that you've made a comment. If for some reason, if you watch the replay and I don't respond to your comment in a timely manner, like kind of within a day, please DM me, let me know to make sure that I can respond and support you that way. So yeah, last week, we were talking about emotionally connecting and knowing our perfect client, right? And it's never really truly perfect. That's kind of like a stretch, but our avatar, the person that we want our products and services to be sold with. And I wanted to start by answering a few questions that came in throughout the week. And the first question was, they were working through, kind of getting to know the avatar and their pain points. And she asked, what if I don't have a pain point with my clients or the customers that I serve? Because I'm a luxury brand. And that's a really great question because not everybody's going to have a pain point. Not every business is going to solve a pain point. So in that instance, we use a different term. We use the term desire. So when we are thinking of a luxury brand, and I'm kind of talking to all of you travel agents, right? Because that's a luxury, that's a special thing that we get to do is go on vacation, especially when we take luxury travel, that it's a desire. We are filling a desire. So when you are creating that client persona, you want to be looking at what is the desire you're filling for that person. I have a desire to go on a luxury cruise. What does that desire stand for? How are you filling that? How are you serving them to fill that desire? So that was the one question that came through. And so the other is also just, how do we know where they reside? And when we say the word reside, it's where are they on social media? Are they on social media or are they not? If they are, what platform are they on? Are they on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok? So when you're looking at where they reside, you really want to kind of know where they spend their time. So those were the two questions that really came in over the last week, and I wanted to address those right off the bat, just to kind of close that loop. And again, if you guys have questions, send them to me so I can support you. And those that are coming for the first time, or hadn't caught the replay, or don't know who I am, then I welcome you. My name is Karen Kleinwort. I have been business coaching and consulting for just over 18 years. I come from a holistic perspective, so I bring the mind, body, and spirit, and we integrate those into a session, into your program, to ensure the decisions you're making within your business or personal life are put through those three filters to ensure that it is the right decision, that it's in alignment with your goals, with your principles and your core values. That's who I am, and I am grateful to be here every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern to talk on a different subject. And they're going to be short. We're going to try and keep it to a 30-minute limit. So questions, I don't want to be a talking head. So if you are here, please comment and we can be interactive that way. So just like when I do my live trainings in my own group, I have a four-legged doorbell. And I cross my fingers, making sure, hopefully, that she's not going to go off. And if we do, we just kind of take a pause. Just kind of giving you guys a heads up if that happens. Today, we are talking about messaging, right? So last week, we were focusing on your avatar, your perfect client, getting to know them. And the next piece is when you're creating content, when you're creating your brand, what is the message that you're putting out there? Is it landing with that perfect client? Is it resonating? Is it making a connection where they feel drawn to stop the scroll, right? That doom scroll that we all get into, right? Stop the scroll and focus on your content and then engage and interact. Whether that be like a like or, that kind of response or a comment or a share. So today I wanted to focus on messaging and wanting to say, is your message on brand? And the first way we do that is we're going to look at the alignment of your messaging, the core values, the interests, both you and how they are in alignment with your client's interests, your brand principles. We're going to talk briefly on the content. Are you educating, inspiring, or entertaining with your content? And then we're going to talk about that call to action and the authentic voice. So to begin, if I were to ask you, thinking of your brand messaging now, how on mark is it? How on mark with your clients is it landing? Or isn't it? You're going to want to refine it to make sure it does. You start by looking at your core values. Your core values are going to be similar to your clients' core values because that's what's going to connect with them and draw them in. So reviewing those core values, making sure that the content you put out, so not just the words, but the imagery that goes along with it and your call to action, filters down through those core values, hits the interests, whatever those may be, and making sure that you are using your brand's guiding principles to help you move through to create that content. So with the Women's Business Resource Community, our 3 brand principles are community, empowerment, right? Those are 2. Community says it right in the name. So Women's Business Community, we are all about community, right? The second is, what did I just say? Do you remember? Right? So community, we are about accessibility and empowerment. Empowerment, meaning you leave and when you go on your way, you feel empowered, you feel inspired to follow your dreams. So accessibility is about, can you access what you need to thrive and build a flourishing business? So everything we create filters through those 3 principles. Those are our core values. Does it help a community? What we're creating, what we're putting out there, our messaging, is it supportive of a community environment? Is it accessible? And does it empower people? So when you know your core values and your principles, and you filter the content, what you're developing through those core principles, you're able to create content that will resonate and land with your perfect client, your avatar. Which means when we're creating content, which is the next element, right? We're creating content that is either going to educate, inspire, or entertain. Even through the entertainment process, right? You share a meme or something like that, you still want it to filter through those 3 principles or 2 principles or what guides you in your business. So knowing that each content comes with what hashtags, the keywords, the imagery, keeping it on brand. You put a lot of effort and energy into creating a beautiful brand. So making sure that it's reflective of your principles and core values will allow those clients and those potential clients and customers to be more aware and attracted to what you are putting out there. So educating, sharing some of your wisdom, right? So like these Tuesday trainings, this is my way of educating and hopefully inspiring. And maybe on the side, there might be a bit of entertainment too, right? But my core purpose for today is really about educating and inspiring those that watch the video. And hopefully you're able to take away the notion that I learned something, that I feel more empowered, that I can make a change, right? So with that, you know exactly where your clients are, right? We talked about that whole, where do they reside? So knowing that, what are the hashtags they're using? Does your brand have its own set of hashtags that it follows, right? Like for us, it's getsavvy, hashtag getbizsavvy. Those are the two that we use on every single post for consistency, and it's brand representative, and it's on message. So for you, how are you integrating in your content, your principles through the education and inspiration, right? That you are using a cohesive message, reinforcing your core values with the interest in mind that you have an interest in, as well as your potential clients and their interests. Because in the end, we really are our own perfect client. So we kind of use the mirror and say, great, this is what really interests me. I really want to learn more about this. I really want to excel at that. I want to participate. Chances are your client, potential customers, are going to have a similar interest. So as you're creating the content, you're using your own interest, your own perception to be able to draw in and share with your audience. So with your content creation, your hashtags and keywords are critical, whether you're writing a blog or a social media post, right? Because that's how we, the general population, are going to find you. What hashtags or keywords are we going to put in the search engines that are in line with you for us to find you? The third part of your messaging when you're putting it out there is the call to action. Right? We see them all the time, CTA, whether it's a link to a blog or to purchase something or to follow. We know there's always a call to action on each post, even your blog post on your website, right? You're still having a call to action of some sort. So is it cohesive? Does it make sense? So when you're talking about your brand message and what you're creating for your followers and your potential customers, does the call to action make sense? So you spent a lot of time and energy working on the content, the imagery to ensure it's on brand and it's representative of your principles and core values, while it's educating and inspiring. And you put the call to action. Does it make sense for them? If they click the link, are they going to be taken to a page that connects them with what they just read or were viewing, if it was the image, right? There has to be a cohesive piece to the CTA. If there's a disconnect, then people are going to get confused, right? So recently I received a direct message from somebody, and she wanted to know something about like hypnotherapy and coaching. But yet when I didn't know her, so I clicked on her profile, and it was all about marketing and SEO and branding. There was a disconnect. It didn't make sense to me. She's talking about something completely different than what she's representing for her own brand. So what happened? She completely lost me, right? Because I was like, I don't know who she is. One, it was a cold DM. Two, she's talking about something completely different than what she's representing herself as. So when we're looking at our messaging, being cohesive and consistent is really critical. What you say on one platform, you need to be able to say something similar that's the same intention on the other platform. Because we know we kind of follow each other on all sorts of different platforms. It's not just on Instagram that we're going to follow you. Chances are we're going to follow you over on Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat, and you want it to be cohesive and consistent. So that way your customers or potential customers don't get confused. So at this point, think about your messaging. What platforms are you on? And are you consistent? What you say on one, do you say something that's consistent in alignment with the other? If you're not, why not? And how can you adjust it? Right? We're all learning, right? So there's no judgment here. We're learning. So as we learn, we adjust and adopt and adapt. So looking at your messaging, where are you on brand in alignment with your core values and principles? Where you share interests that are similar to that of your customers or your clients? Is there a flow to that? Consistency, continuity, right? People, we are like linear thinking individuals, right? We have to connect the dots. Very few can kind of think abstract and pull it all together and put together a nice, tidy picture. So what we put out there as a brand, we have to think in that linear movement. We have to draw the attention of our potential clients to where we want them to be. We have to show them how to get there. We have to tell them, and then we have to reinforce it. So with your own brand messaging at this point, how are you doing from a consistency and a flow? Is it making sense? Or is it confusing? Or if it's a 3 or 4 step process that you were educating them and guiding them through your own flow, is there a hiccup in there somewhere where they could get distracted or confused? So thinking about that, where are you at? What does it look like? How does it feel? It's kind of like, if I have to use an analogy, when you're reading a story and it's an author who's well known and you're reading it and the words just flow. It's easy to read. You get caught up. You can see the imagery and it's just, you just keep reading. It's easy. Versus you read a 5th grader's paper and story, right? It's disconnected. It's like all over the place. There isn't a flow. Normally, not every 5th grader, but right? So you understand that when there's disconnect, your potential clients are going to jump ship. They're not going to give you a second chance, unfortunately, right? We get one chance to make a good impression. So knowing that, circling back and saying, what are my core values and how are they being representative in my messaging so they are on brand and they are in alignment with my customers, current or future customers, right? How do you adjust? What are you saying? What are those key words? What kind of imagery is going to support that, reinforce it? And then as your call to action, going to continue the story where it makes sense and they get excited and they take the action that you're asking them to take, whether it to be reading a blog or purchasing a product. The easier you make the flow for them, the consistency, the higher the chance that your messaging lands and is successful. Now, what we have to remember, though, is it takes 7 to 10 times for your customers or potential customers to make a decision, right? Because we have to lead them through the, right? Know, like, trust, those 3 steps. They're going to get to know us when we're consistent. We're always showing up. We're consistently showing up. They're going to like us when we start reflecting to them our core values that are in alignment with theirs, their interests. And then they're going to trust us when we follow through and provide that continuity and that consistency. The key underneath all of this is using an authentic voice. And I'll say it at the beginning of every training, and I'll likely say it multiple times, sometimes because life happens. You will get the authentic me. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to screw up. I am going to be real. You are going to likely have one of my teenagers walk in and start talking to me inadvertently, not realizing, right? So you're going to get the authentic me. This is my voice. This is my brand. And I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to put on a mask because it would be out of alignment with my core value, being authentic and showing up, right? So, and sometimes that can be scary. When we really want to be authentic, it can be super scary. And no, you're not alone. We all go through that and we revisit it. As we grow as a business, we will revisit that scariness, right? Like last week, I'm going to be super honest here. I was really nervous, right? I'm super comfortable in my own group, going live, no problem. This is a new group, a new audience, a new situation. So staying authentic was important, but I was still nervous, right? So how are you showing up authentically in alignment with your values and principles so your messaging is on point? Because that resonates with your potential customers. That's what I would like to leave you with. When you're looking at your brand and your messaging, are you filtering what you are putting out there through your core values and principles? And I include when you make posts inside this group, think about what you're posting and how is it in alignment with who you are and what your brand is? And is it going to get you closer to your goal? Because people will pick up on it. So your challenge for this week is to review your messaging, check in with your core values and principles, and make sure that you adjust as necessary your messaging to be reflective. Make sure your posts are educational, inspiring, or entertaining, but still on brand. Okay, that's the time we have for this week. I am very grateful to be here. Thank you for showing up and for being here, whether you're here live or watching the replay. Last week, there was a free workbook that I put the URL in for, and that was a growth blueprint workbook, taking cold leads to hot clients. This week, I have a different freebie for you guys. It's another workbook, but this is about time management. And I chose this workbook to give to you guys because we are coming up on the holiday season and it is crazy busy. Our time gets split in 10 different ways or more. And so I really wanted to put you in a place of empowerment to take control to the best of your ability, your time, so that way your time doesn't control you. Okay? I'm going to drop those links in the comments, and then I'll do it after we're done. And then also to remind you guys that we do have a Black Friday special over on the Women's Business Resource Community, and it's for the annual Neighbor membership where you save $600. It's an amazing deal. I will put the link to that and also the discount code that you need. So again, thank you for showing up. I'm Karen Kleinwert, and you can find me over on getsavvy.com. And I appreciate you all. Have a beautiful day. See you next Wednesday.